Ever wondered why and how we learn? Why do we behave the way we do? Learning is not just about absorbing information, it's also about change in behavior. The answers lie in learning theories, frameworks that describe how information is absorbed, processed, and retained. Among these are three main theories: classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and social cognitive theory. They give us insight into what motivates us and why we act the way we do. These theories are the pillars of understanding human behavior and learning. Let's dissect these theories one by one. First up is classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is a topic from psychology. Sometimes to understand why people behave a certain way in organizations, it's good to know a bit about it. Classical conditioning links a neutral thing with a reflex reaction. Reflex reactions are like things your body does without thinking, such as changes in blood pressure, salivating, or releasing adrenaline. These reactions usually happen because of specific things that we naturally respond to. For example, the smell of food makes us salivate, or a stressful situation makes our blood pressure rise. But these same reactions can be linked to other things by repeating the pairings. The idea is that you can train a reaction to happen when it shouldn't naturally. A famous example is from a Russian scientist named Ivan Pavlov, who got dogs to drool at the sound of a bell because he rang it when he fed them. So, a neutral thing, the bell, gets connected with a natural reaction, drooling, to create a learned reaction. Classical conditioning is also called respondent conditioning because it's about natural, reflexive reactions. Some reactions can be learned pretty quickly, and they can also unlearn just as fast. Emotions and stress reactions are examples of classically learned reactions. Stress, fear, and anxiety often come from our body's autopilot reactions to things that bothered us before. So, if your phone rings with bad news too many times, you might start feeling stressed whenever it rings. Stress management tries to break those connections to make you less stressed, fearful, or anxious. Operant conditioning is all about how we learn to do things we have control over. It's like we learn to operate on the world around us to make things happen the way we want. Imagine you're teaching a dog new tricks. If you give the dog a treat every time it does something right, it learns what you want. This kind of learning is all about actions we choose to do, not reflexes. We call these actions operant responses. So, operant conditioning focuses on what we can see people do, not what they feel or think. It started in the 1940s and 1950s with a scientist named B.F. Skinner, who studied animals like pigeons and rats. He watched what these animals did in controlled settings where everything affecting them could be measured. And these ideas about operant conditioning help us understand why people do what they do. So much so that the special boxes where they test these animals are called Skinner boxes. Operant conditioning is about making connections between what we do and what happens next. If we do something in a certain situation and it leads to a reward, we'll probably do it again when we're in a similar situation. That's how we learn. For example, think about typing on a keyboard. You learn to press the right keys by looking at what's on the screen. When you press the right keys, you get feedback saying you did it correctly. This feedback strengthens the connection between what you see on the screen, the stimulus, and what you do with your fingers, the response. If you already know how to do something but need to know when to do it, that's when you create a connection between a cue, the stimulus, and the action, the response. For example, when your phone rings, you know to answer it. You learned that this is what you should do when the phone rings. When you need to teach someone something new, you can do it through chaining or shaping. Chaining is when you break down a complex task into simpler steps. You reinforce only the final step, which makes the whole thing work. Shaping is when you start by rewarding any behavior that's close to what you want, then slowly shape it to match the exact behavior you're looking for. It's like training dolphins to do tricks. Operant conditioning teaches that how we act depends on what comes after our actions. It's all about consequences. Here are 5 ways this works. Positive reinforcement. If you do something right, you get something good like praise or money. Punishment. If you do something wrong, you get something bad like criticism. Avoidance. You do something to prevent something bad from happening. Escape. You do something to make something bad stop happening. Extinction. If you do something and there's no reward or punishment, you'll stop doing it. Rewards can come in different flavors, positive versus negative reinforcement. If something makes a behavior more likely to happen, it's a positive reinforcer. If it makes a behavior less likely, it's a negative reinforcer or a punisher. Primary versus secondary rewards. Primary rewards are things we need for our bodies like food and rest. Secondary rewards are things we learn to like getting approval from others. Intrinsic versus extrinsic rewards. Intrinsic rewards come from within, like feeling proud. Extrinsic rewards are from outside, like getting gifts or praise. There's also something called a reward schedule that says when you get your reward. Continuous reward schedule. You get a reward every time you do something right. Intermittent reward schedule. You only get a reward sometimes. It can be based on the number of times you do something, fixed or variable ratio, or how much time passes, fixed or variable interval. These schedules have a big effect on how often you do something. Continuous rewards keep you going as long as you keep getting the reward. But variable rewards make you work harder, and you keep going even after the rewards stop. Then there's the social cognitive theory, social cognitive theory. Social cognitive theory, developed by Albert Bandura, moves beyond the simple rewards and punishments model, like operant conditioning, to explain how we learn. It acknowledges the crucial role of our cognitive processes, thoughts, and observations in shaping our behavior. According to social cognitive theory, our behavior is not solely determined by external rewards and punishments. It is also influenced by our thoughts and the observation of others. The theory introduces the concept of reciprocal determinism, suggesting that our actions, environment, and internal factors such as skills and values continually interact and influence one another. Behavior and consequences play a central role in this theory, akin to operant conditioning. Positive reinforcement encourages repetition of behavior, while punishment discourages it. However, social cognitive theory delves into the bidirectional relationship between behavior and the environment. Think of it as a three-way street: our behavior, what we do, our environment, the world around us, including rewards, punishments, and social influences. Our internal world, our thoughts, beliefs, skills, values, and expectations, especially self-efficacy, the belief in our ability to succeed. These three factors constantly interact and influence each other in a concept called reciprocal determinism. We don't just react to our environment, we act upon it, shaping our surroundings and experiences. Learning from others. Social cognitive theory highlights three key ways we learn from others. Vicarious learning, observational learning. We watch others, see the consequences of their actions, and store this information to guide our own behavior. Think of learning cooking from a show or picking up bad habits from friends. Symbolic learning. We use symbols like words, images, and mental representations to understand and learn. This allows us to learn even from things we haven't directly observed, like historical events or hypothetical situations. Self-regulation. We can control our own behavior by setting goals, rewarding ourselves for progress, and reflecting on our actions. This enables us to take charge of our learning and development. The power of self-efficacy. A central concept in this theory is self-efficacy, the belief in our ability to achieve specific goals or tasks. It's not just general self-esteem, it's about confidence in our competence in specific situations. Self-efficacy has three aspects: magnitude, how difficult you perceive a task to be; strength, how confident you are in your ability to succeed; generality, whether you believe you can succeed in similar situations. High self-efficacy is crucial for success. It motivates us to try harder, persist through challenges, and achieve our goals. Relevance and applications. Understanding social cognitive theory has significant implications for various fields. Education. Effective teaching methods should go beyond rewards and punishments, engaging students' cognitive processes and building their self-efficacy. Leadership. Leaders who model desired behaviors and foster self-efficacy in their teams can create a more motivated and productive environment. Therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, based on social cognitive theory, helps individuals identify and change negative thought patterns and self-beliefs to improve their behavior and well-being. Social cognitive theory offers a comprehensive framework for understanding how we learn and grow. It moves beyond simple conditioning to highlight the interplay of our environment, cognitive processes, and especially self-efficacy in shaping our actions and achieving our goals. These theories, often referred to as reinforcement theories, revolve around the concept of rewards and punishments. They shed light on how and why we acquire new behaviors. These theories help us understand how and why we learn new behaviors. Did you know there's a special theory for adult learning called andragogy? The term andragogy was coined to differentiate adult learning from child learning, which is referred to as pedagogy. Pedagogy comes from the Latin root ped, meaning child, and it emphasizes teaching methods specific to children. Andragogy, on the other hand, derives from a Greek word meaning man, and addresses adult learning methods, recognizing the unique needs and experiences of adults. Principles of andragogy, experience-based learning. Adults learn best when they can relate new information to their past experiences. Connecting learning to personal experiences makes the material more meaningful. Adults benefit from asking questions and finding answers, making their learning more self-directed. Problem-centered approach, learning should revolve around solving real-life problems. Adults are motivated to learn when the training directly helps them solve current issues. Relevance is key. Adults find learning more engaging when it addresses immediate challenges. Active participation. Adults learn better when they actively engage in the learning process. Hands-on experiences and discussions facilitate learning. Creating an environment that encourages active participation and group interactions enhances the learning experience. Collaborative learning environment. Learning should occur in a collaborative, respectful, and trusting atmosphere. Mutual respect and trust between trainers and trainees foster an open environment where ideas can be freely shared. Collaboration enhances the learning process. Learner involvement in training. Involving learners in the planning, design, and evaluation of training promotes commitment and engagement. Adults are more committed to learning when they are actively involved in decision-making processes related to their training. Refinement of andragogy. While initially seen as a theory specific to adult learning, andragogy has evolved. It's no longer limited to adults but applies to learners of all ages. The core principle that remains is the value of the quantity and quality of learners' experiences. With age, individuals accumulate unique experiences that enrich their learning. Andragogy now represents a flexible learning model applicable to learners of various ages depending on the context.